Welcome to Concept in Medicine. In today's tutorial, we'll be talking about ecological study. First of all, let's look at what ecological study is. When we say ecological study, it is a type of observational, analytical, epidemiological study that is used to understand the relationship between exposure and outcome at the population level. Because of that, it is also referred to as the correlational study. The correlational study means that it's going to be correlating the exposure to the outcome with regards to the population, meaning that it will be doing that in groups. So because of that, a parameter that can be obtained from the ecological study will be group characteristics. Group characteristics, and the unit of study will be the population. And you should bear in mind that ecological study is the least when it comes to determining causality. It has the weakest evidence of association between exposure and outcome. So by that, let's look at the hierarchy with regards to selection of options in determining the causality. Okay, let's look at that. So the first one, that is with regards to the preference of epidemiological studies for establishing causality. The first one, the first choice in order, the most important to use, or the first, the strongest, is going to be meta-analysis. Then the next one is going to be randomized control trials, which is usually used in experimental study, where the unit of study will be the patient. The third one is going to be retrospective cohort study, also referred to as the non-concurrent or historical cohort study. Then the fourth one is going to be the prospective cohort study. That's going to be the fourth one, the prospective cohort study, also referred to as the concurrent or current cohort study. Then the fifth one, it will be the case control study. The sixth will be cross-sectional study, and the seventh, which is the least, will be the ecological study. All right, let's move ahead and talk about the advantages and disadvantages of ecological study. So with the advantages, you should know that ecological study is done in a small time frame, in a small frame of time, in a small time frame. So with that, it means it's going to be less expensive. And why is it less expensive? Well, it's inexpensive because it uses data that is already available. You don't need to go and fish for the data, but the data is already available. That is why here we are saying that you are going to be correlating the outcome to the exposure. So outcome is already available, exposure is already available. So you are comparing, you are going to be correlating. Is there any relationship? Is there a positive relationship between the outcome and the exposure? Or is there a negative sequence between the outcome and the exposure? Then the next one is that the next advantage is that data can be used from populations with different characteristics. Okay, if you have a population which is exhibiting different characteristics, that data can also be used in ecological study because it is going to be comparing the relationship or that kind of association between the exposure and the outcome. All right. Let's move ahead and talk about the disadvantages of ecological study. For the disadvantages, the first one is that there's potential of a problem. Which problem are we looking at? The socio-economic confounding. It means that with the presence of socio-economic factors, socio-economic vulnerabilities, it may be able to create that positive association between exposure and outcome. And by so doing, that particular factor may be considered as an exposure. Meanwhile, it is not. Or that particular factor may be considered to be the cause of the outcome, which is not the case. That is what we term socio-economic confounding. Then finally, you have what we call ecological fallacy as the disadvantage. And when we say ecological fallacy, what is that? Ecological fallacy refers to the error of interpretation of statistical data in ecological study, whereby characteristics are ascribed to a group of individuals which they may not possess as individual. Again, ecological fallacy refers to the error of interpretation of statistical data in ecological study, whereby characteristics are ascribed to a group or a population which they may not possess as individuals, meaning that you are characterizing a group as being positive. Meanwhile, not everybody in that group is positive. Majority carries the day, meaning that all will not be positive, but the whole group will be considered as positive. So the group of individuals are ascribed a particular characteristics, but in reality, not all members, not all individuals of that group possess the characteristics. We call that ecological fallacy. A wrap-up of ecological study. Again, we said that ecological study is an analytical, observational, epidemiological study that is used to establish the relationship between exposure and outcome. It's used to find association between exposure and outcome. Because of that, it also referred to us as the correlational study. And we also said that it is the least of choice, or is the least preferential choice for establishing causality. And we know that the most preferential is going to be meta-analysis. We said the unit of study is going to be the population. And again, we said that the parameter that can be derived or that can be established from the ecological study will be the group characteristics. Interesting, right? Kindly make sure to subscribe to my channel, like, share, and recommend to friends. And do not forget to turn on the notification button. Feel free to comment the next concept you would like to see on my channel in the commentary section. My name is Dr. Del, and once more, this is Concept in Medicine. Bye-bye.